This may sound a little bit cheesy, but you know what? In Magic, you're a sorcerer. You're an all-powerful wizard, a cunning mage, drawing power from your book of spells to outsmart and outwit your opponents. And this is the case for every archetype in Magic except one, and that's the burn deck. You see, in a burn deck, you are a caveman that has just discovered fire for the first time, and you are so excited that you are basically poo-flinging it left, right, and center. That's how you attack. And that caveman attack is back. Everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and burn, I mean, one of the single most stable archetypes probably in the history of modern Magic is at it again. I mean, it's making the top 8s. It's making the rounds in the preliminary events, the 5-0s. Modern has been fixed to a turn 4 format, and what deck does better than burn in such a metagame? If you go over the things that burn is most afraid of, it's not pro-red. It's not life gain. It's not Leyline of Sanctity. No, it is a format that's either turn 2 or turn 3, because burn can't compete with that. Burn, I mean, even when you're interacting with it or not, is generally a deck that can only kill by turn 4. So any deck that can win faster than that, that's a format that burn is scared of. So now that Wizards of the Coast has basically laid down the law of the land by banning Simian Spirit Guide, banning Tybalt's Trickery, they've made a clear signal that Modern is a turn 4 format, and this is a format that will be friendly to the burn players. Let's take a look at it. And this list, I'm looking at this thing, it's the same fucking thing for the last 6 years. Seriously, I pulled this from the top 8 of a Modern challenge, and now check out this list from a top 8 at a pro tour 6 years ago by Li Shitian. It's the same thing. We go 2021. 2015. What is different? The only difference is these old lists had Grim Lavamancer and Shard Volley, and today they play with Skewer the Critics. That's it. They've got everything else. The Goblin Guys, the Swift Spirit, Eidolon of the Great Revel, Lava Spike, Bolt, Boros Charm, Lightning Helix, Searing Blaze, Skull Crack, and Rift Bolt. They're all there. For the last 6 years, basically the only upgrades, the most expensive upgrade, is Sunbay Canyon. Seriously, that's the only thing they've basically upgraded for the last 6 years that costs any money whatsoever. Not too bad. Most Magic players are like, I'm going to get the new iPhone. I'm going to get the new Samsung Galaxy S. But burn players, they're like, I'm going to run this thing into the damn ground. I'm going to wait till the screen is cracked, the battery is dead, it can't update anymore, and my dog has peed on it. That's basically how they're treating their archetypes here. They're going to run it down until like this thing is not even playable. But the thing is, and I've seen this happen over and over again in the history of Magic, burn keeps coming back. It comes in waves. Burn is the type of deck that, I mean, when it's good, it's fucking amazing. I mean, you're just easily coasting to victory. Just lightning bolt your face, bolt, bolt, bolt. Who cares about creature combat? What the hell is that? But when it's bad, it absolutely sucks. I gain 3 life there. I can't target you anymore. You got this Leyline of Sanctity. Collective Brutality, what the fuck? So anyway, the burn deck cannot stand the heat of the metagame, but the metagame always changes, and it's now changing in the direction for burn's favor. Let's take a quick look at it. All right, you got your aggro creatures. You got Goblin Guide and Monastery Swiftspear. Goblin Guide, by the way, I think a very underappreciated card. 1 red, 2/2 creature with haste, but whenever it attacks, your opponent reveals the top card of their library. If it's a land, they put into their hand. Now, what most people don't appreciate is that, like, 2/3 of the time, it's not going to be a land. It's going to be a non-land, which is actually good for the burn player because they are learning things about their opponent's deck. They're slowly accumulating information. Moving on to Monastery Swiftspear, which we now realize is an outrageously powerful card. It's now been featured in Death Shadow. It's been featured in Mono Red Prowess, in Is It Prowess. No wonder burn has been doing so well. It has been playing with one of the perhaps most powerful 1-drops in Modern the entire time, and especially with the burn deck, you always have instants to play. It is a very difficult creature to block. If your opponent has 1 or 2 burn spells up their sleeve, it's a 3/4 creature. Then you got Eidolon of the Great Revel, which basically shafts any deck that wants to play very mana efficiently. I mean, yeah, if you want to play a million spells a turn, be my guest. Shoot yourself in the foot for like 10 damage. Go for it. I got my Eidolon out. I mean, a Storm player stares at this card and I'm like, oh my god, What am I going to do about this thing? They're going to be dead before they can even storm off. So Eidolon of the Great Revel is just very interestingly just a card that keeps decks honest. I mean, this is the honest creature. I mean, when in a format without Eidolon of the Great Revel is actually not a really good format. It's sometimes bad when the burn deck is not well positioned, because in that case, there's going to be even more stupid mana efficient decks in the format taking over. Eidolon of the Great Revel, it's a good thing. It's good. It's a sign of health. When Eidolon of the Great Revel is well positioned and Burn is well positioned in the metagame, it means Modern is healing. It's in a very good spot. Okay, moving on to their suite of like basically burn spells. And I mean, this is why I think Burn very specifically is like a caveman deck. Most of the complexity in Magic has been boiled down to these burn spells that basically target two things, either like a creature or your face. Sometimes a planeswalker. 3 damage. 3 damage. 3 damage. 3 damage at a time. You got to take them down from 20 to 0. All you need to, basically, if you can count between 0 to 30, that's all you have to do. I mean, because if your opponent gains enough life over 30, you're probably lost. You don't need to count more than that. 30 damage is good enough. All right, take it down 3 at a time. We start with Lava Spike. Sorcery. Lava Spike deals 3 damage to target player or planeswalker. Mostly do the players. Lightning Bolt. 3 damage to any target. Boros Charm. Choose one. Boros Charm deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn, or target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Now, most people play this for the 4 damage, but do not underestimate the other 2 modes. Sometimes you need to give your team of creatures on the battlefield indestructible versus a Supreme Verdict. Maybe sometimes you want to give a creature double strike to survive a particular combat trick and kill your opponent's creature. But the best mode is 4 damage in 1 card. That is a good rate for a burn deck. Lightning Helix, maybe one of the better cards in the deck, because this is what helps you race other decks that are trying to race you. Oh, yeah, you're coming after me? Well, I'll kill your creature, and I'm going to gain some life, so you're a little bit further away from beating me, but I'm a little bit closer to beating you, and I've interacted with you. Lightning Helix. Searing Blaze, absolutely bane of my existence. I absolutely hate this card. If a land enters the battlefield, you can deal 3 damage to a creature and the player at the same time. It's like a massive tempo beating. You're losing life and you lost your creature at the same time. Now, that is a landfall trigger, but do not forget that you can play this without a landfall. I mean, killing a creature for 1 and dealing 1 damage to your opponent might be enough, especially when the game is getting really close to the end. Don't forget that you can play Searing Blaze without the landfall. Skullcrack. Players can't gain life this turn. Great. The main weapon against the burn deck, the life gain. And my god, is it so frustrating to be a burn player and you're losing to life gain? Probably like one of the weakest mechanics in the game, unless it's something insanely recurable. Players can't gain life this turn. Damage can't be prevented this turn. And Skullcrack deals 3 damage to target player. Now, the damage can't be prevented. Very important to know, because your opponents are going to be playing with Core Firewalker against you. Has protection from red. But here's how protection works. Protection means preventing damage. So if you attack with your Swift Spear and they block with a Core Firewalker, and then you play your Skullcrack buffing your Swift Spear, and it says damage can't be prevented this turn, that means the Pro Red doesn't work anymore. The Core Firewalker will take 2 damage. It will die. So that's something very important to know, that you can get around Pro Red with your Skullcrack. Rift Bolt. You can suspend Rift Bolt for 1 red. You get to get 3 damage to any target on your upkeep. So if your opponent has a Chalice of the Void out already on 1 or on 2, this can get around it because it actually is 3 CMC. Skewer the Critics. Also, another card that's helped the burn deck fight off against Chalice of the Void on 1 or 2, because it is, again, the mana value of Skewer the Critics is 3. So even if you're spending 1 on the Spectacle, that's okay. The mana value is still 3, and you will get through the Chalice. Now, Burn has unfairly been criticized as a deck that is like really easy to play, that it's a beginner deck, that it lacks skill and tight interactive play like the other modern decks. And to that, I say absolutely nothing. I have no criticisms to any of those statements. Well, you want a fucking engineering degree? You literally throw burn spells at people's faces. I mean, that is the basis of the deck. Occasionally you kill their creatures, yes. Yes, you do that. But you know what? That is the beauty of burn in the grand scheme of things. No matter what your skill level is, you will get a significant portion of the value with this deck. It is not rocket science. I mean, there's definitely edges to be gained in the burn deck, especially during sideboarding, because it might be obvious what you bring in, but it's not so obvious always what you take out, given so many of the cards look very similar. But in the grand scheme of things, you can get most of the value no matter where your skill level is with the burn deck. Quickly going through the lands, we got some Arid Mesas, Bloodstained Mire. Now, this particular player diversified their fetch lands. Just buy the cheapest ones. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, they're slightly playing around Pithing Needle, but you know, you can shave some money by buying the cheapest stuff. There are 5 Horizon lands in here, between 4 Sunbaked Canyon and 1 Fiery Islet, 4 Inspiring Vantage, 3 Mountains, 2 Sacred Foundry, and 2 Wooded Foothills. Now we go for the sideboard. Path to Exile. Main purpose of Path is basically to slow down the decks that are going to beat your head in with big beefy creatures. And then Core Firewalker, really key card, not only in the mirror, which is an absolute nightmare, but also to help you against all the prowess decks. The Izzet prowess deck, the mono red prowess deck, really good card in the red mirrors. Then we have an extra Lightning Helix, 2 Rest in Peace. We are splashing white for Boros Charm, for Lightning Helix, so we have access to some really good graveyard hate in addition, so we get to use Rest in Peace. Searing Blood, it's like another additional copy of Searing Blaze, but not conditional on the land drop. Just deal 2 damage to a creature, and it will deal 3 damage to the opponent. Bring that in against any deck with little creatures. And Skullcrack, if you're expecting life gain, this will help keep the balance, keep them from gaining too much life. Oh, you want to play Timely Reinforcements? Well, I've got a Timely Skullcrack. Not so timely now, is it? Fact of the matter is, burn isn't always good. When the metagame wants to hate it out, it's going to get completely hated out. If you see the burn players, they are the most fucking saltiest community I've ever seen. When things are good, they are just living the fucking life. But when things are going bad, they're like, oh my god, life gain this. Oh, I'm unlucky that. Where's my land drop? Where's the burn spell? Oh my god, yeah, I need 1 burn spell to win this game. Land, Swift Spear, this is useless. Sacred Foundry, crack, land. How can I lose this? Where's my last burn spell? The feel bad moments with burn, oh, they're bad. They're incredibly bad. And it gets worse when your opponents start piling on the hate with the Leyline of Sanctities, the Chalice of the Voids, the Core Firewalkers, the life gain. So while I don't think burn is the type of deck that you can play 100% of the time, it is a fantastic addition to your toolbox to unleash on your metagame when the metagame is right for it. When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, you switch over to your other deck. But if you don't want to buy into this deck, you just want to play it when it's great, that's why we have Mana Traders for you, the premier place to rent magic cards on. Don't leave yet, I've got really cheesy jokes. Burn is hot right now, but if the metagame puts out its fire, don't let it put out your fire. Just switch to the next best thing with Mana Traders. You can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save 15% off your first 3 months using my coupon code Nikachu. 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage.